Welcome to War Games, hosted by the sales genius Joe Ingram. If you're looking to win the sales battle, then you have joined the right team. In the War Games group, we devise strategies for sales, marketing, branding, mindset, and attitude. We enlist the assistance from the most successful producers across all industries. We then share their knowledge and techniques with you. Our single goal is to get you ready for your next sales opportunity. When it comes to crossing the minefield of sales, step in the footprints of those that have crossed before you. Now, prepare yourself for boot camp and beyond. It's time for the War Games to begin.
We play a game.
Welcome, War Gamers. It's Wednesday, and I'm your host, Joe Ingram. So I am going to venture out here and make an attempt to explain who our guest host and trainer is today, but phenomenal individual. Seen him on Instagram, seen him on TikTok. The boy's got moves, but he makes moves right in business. He makes moves in making an impact on people. So our guest trainer today is Ted Phaeton. Ted is the host of the Modern Man podcast. And you know, we're all big on podcasting here, and the founder of the Modern Man. So it's a men's networking and empowerment group that's on a mission to connect men in pursuit of their potential. And I think we can all agree we got room to keep growing. And that's why I wanted to bring him on and say, how can we grow as a people? How can we get better at sales? He's phenomenal at marketing. Okay. And he hopes to help men build in their communities and reach their full potential. So he's here, right, to help men get meaningful relationships, network with like-minded individuals, and build a support group, which is what we are in here, right? That will help them to excel in life, business, and relationships. So I'm going to stop talking about him and bring him up on here because you guys need to meet Ted. Ted's amazing. Ted, welcome to the War Games show.
Joe, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on, brother.
Absolutely. I'm going to say, Ted, switch with me so you can come over here. There we go. Because the spotlight needs to go to the guest trainer that comes in. So, I appreciate you taking time out of your day because, again, you are on the news. You are blowing up with your podcast. You've got the modernmanpodcast.com that's there. Okay, I've shared you with a lot of people just through TikTok and there. One of them being my brother, who's now excited.
Right.
Is here. That comes up. Mo Rock has been looking forward to this one as well. And so, and in true War Games fashion, I'm going to just start introducing you to a whole bunch of people so that you can get out there and share the message. So, okay, you are in your own right, a celebrity. Okay, you've got a following. We connected because you weren't on the news as much during COVID, but I know how to tie a tie and dance because of you. You know that? Okay. So
yeah.
I ain't got no rhythm, but I sure as heck can do it now. But and I laugh every time you're up there and you're like, and you got the music. I'm like, man, this guy knows how to connect with people.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping today we have a conversation, hoping that you jump in and say, hey, let's talk to a bunch of entrepreneurs that need to sell more, be more kind of deal. So we focus overall on sales, marketing, branding, attitude, and mindset. And when I look at branding, right, mindset, attitude, man, you are like big check marks on that box. And
I appreciate that.
And so I'm hoping you can share some of your wisdom with us today so that we can go away and feel better and understand what we're supposed to be doing with our lives. So please take it away. Come on.
Joe, I appreciate that, man. And the first thing I would say is, it starts in doing. For me, I spent a lot of time writing down, reading books, and just trying to figure things out. And man, how do I do this? And it wasn't until I started building the brand, building the platform, that it actually started to make sense. So a lot of times, if we talk about marketing and branding, we'll talk about colors, right? And you see a lot of examples out there, and a lot of times we like to bite from this person, bite from that person, and we don't quite know how to market ourselves or how to brand ourselves because we haven't done it yet. We haven't started speaking per se. Like if you were to first start speaking, when I first started my podcast, I didn't know my voice yet. I had to find my voice, and it all came through doing. So the very first step, I would encourage anybody who's on the fence of not really sure how to market themselves or how to build a brand, it's you're going to learn in doing. You could read about soccer all you want, but until you start kicking the ball, you're not really going to get the dexterity and the physical acumen to actually play soccer. So it starts in doing, and as you go, you make mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes, and here's the thing: you listen to the feedback because you'll be surprised what works. You mentioned the tie video. What's funny about that is TikTok came about because I first got hacked on Instagram. For those that don't know, I work in morning news. I was a morning anchor. I'm a meteorologist now too in a bigger city. And my habit and my routine before I would go on show, I would always put my tie on. That's the last thing I put on before my tie, and then my blazer. And to me, that's the equivalent of putting on my jersey before game time.
Right.
And for social interaction, I'd pick a song of the day, and literally I would pull it up on Spotify, and then I'd open up Instagram, record myself doing the tie, and I keep getting these flashes of like some days would be fine, it would post no problem, but some days Instagram would flag it for copyright issues.
Oh yeah.
One perfect storm, I got a copyright issue email. They're going to take down my Instagram. I panicked. I tried to appeal it. It was a phishing link. They got my login, and I watched 1,500 posts, 9,000 plus followers disappear in less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
So I had to start from scratch. This is 2019. Side note, never got that account back. I was verified and everything. It's gone. It's been gone. I had to start from scratch again with the old dummy account that I had, which I've gotten back up to about 5,000, 4,500 followers now. But all that to say is TikTok was just coming out when I started that. And I kept that habit of tying my tie. And I don't know why people responded to this. That's what I talk about. You'll be surprised at how the market reacts. People would love the song that I picked that day. People would say, oh, I'm learning how to tie a tie, whatever it was. So I started doing that on TikTok. And I did one of the dance challenges, flipped my tie and everything. That got 1.4 million views.
Nice.
It wasn't planned. It wasn't something that I was like, oh, this is going to go viral. It was just consistency and sticking through what my voice was at the time. I put on suits every day. I put on a tie. I have in my closet a rack of 40 plus ties. I should take a picture and post that one day. But yeah, I wear a different tie every day. And that was just my thing. I could tie a tie pretty quick. There were some songs that would have like a quick little breakdown in the beat, and I would tie my tie in 15 seconds or less. And then people would think that was impressive. So for anyone thinking about branding and thinking about marketing themselves, I always say that, the brand is the fulfillment of the promise that you sell, right? Your sales team is getting out there saying, hey, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. Your brand is the promise and the fulfillment of that promise, right? This is exactly what I expected. And that's why people stand by that brand. It's like Apple. You stand by the brand because they deliver on the promise of their quality. So as I used my specific niche in tying the tie each morning, I used that feedback to keep leaning in. And before I knew it, people were responding to that. And that's what kind of led me into having that kind of persona through my TikTok.
That's fantastic. And again, I'll tell you, because I'm one of those people, right? That was like, man, look at this. Because you genuinely, so here's the brilliance as far as what you did. Okay. You said, I'm doing this whether the camera's on or not. Mm-hmm. This is part of my routine. So then it wasn't like, I will tell you, I have my notepad with me writing stuff down. But when I looked like over the weekend, I was sitting on Saturday and I said to myself, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to create 3 pieces of content. Okay. So, and I told myself that where you didn't have to. You were like, oh, I'm going to make content just by doing something that I'm doing every day, which means you had the ability to create the momentum, right? And last week, one of our presenters was on social media. She says it comes with consistency. People need to know they can find you where you're at and consistently be there. Because again, when I scroll through the talk there, you pop up. I see you, and I see you in there, and I'm like, okay. Instagram, when I scroll, you're there, and I'm like, okay. And the system pays attention to that. I watch all the way through to make sure you tie your tie correctly, and then right, and then move on. But you provide more value than that. But the entertainment, I feel, of watching you do that, because you're genuinely lost in the music, right?
Yeah, I'm
And
just
we all
playing.
sit back, we can totally resonate with the fact it's playtime and you're getting something done and enjoying what you're doing. And to me, that's what made it so real. And for me to reach out and DM you, and you responded, right?
Yeah.
Now you just ask me for Apple gift cards and stuff. Oh no, that's the original.
Well, you made up a great point there, Joe, in terms of the consistency and what worked for me, because social media is intimidating for some, right? Like, how do I post consistently? How do I start? And for me, when it comes to habits, I focus on habit stacking. What is something you're already doing every day, or already doing to the frequency in which you would like to post, right? And if you stack on top of that, that's going to help A, lock in the habit, B, streamline the process, and also help give yourself the accountability. So for me, I'm tying my tie every day. The only barrier of entry now is picking a song. I'm usually playing music every morning. What song is stuck in my head, or what song just released? What song just came out? And TikTok's making it so much easier now. What song is trending? And by habit stacking, for anybody that's listening, let's say you're making sales calls. I'm a man of routine. I'm a man of habit. So I have a lot of certain rituals throughout the day. It's just, I do the same thing, because that puts me in my mindset to execute. That puts me in the process to execute. And I imagine a lot of entrepreneurs listening right now have that same ritual, kind of like when a baseball player steps up to the plate and they do the whole like wrist thing or whatnot, put their hand up. It's a habitual thing, but it's also a neurological trigger to perform. So whatever you're doing habitually already, you could stack the habit on top of that. Matter of fact, you could share that habitual habit, because that right there is your daily post. Hey, game time, about to get these sales calls. And it might sound boring. It might not sound like much, but it's going to be a baseline that is authentic to you and your life, that gives the window to your viewers into who you are. Because like you mentioned, a lot of my content talks about, men's mental health, talks about other things. I'm a meteorologist. I'm doing weather. Sometimes I'm putting my tie on in the morning and I go and I was anchoring, talking about doom and gloom. But that little window of my authenticity is going to be the first thing that someone might see, might intrigue them enough to see the rest of my content. And if that resonates, I've already used the lead, the hook, line, sinker.
Nice. Okay. So one of the things I thought was great, because I interpreted it differently right away and then realized what we were actually talking about. But so you said that when you habit stack, right, you're compounding the frequency, right, of what you're already doing. And what I was thinking was, I thought frequency as in wavelength, the energy, right? And so I sat there and I was like, oh, so that was great, because what you said was, I'm already in having a good time. I got the music on, I'm feeling it. And then you said, I'm going to go ahead and add my camera to this point, which is, again, what do we feel when the music's on and we're watching you? And let's be real, the smile just shines right through. So when you do that, it's, you match the frequency of something positive that you were doing.
Yeah.
Right. And
I would say that's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true in the authenticity of, I'm a firm believer in energy can travel through sound waves and through video. In radio, whenever I record radio in the morning, I smile. You can hear the smile.
Yeah.
You're not seeing me, but when I'm talking in the microphone of the radio, I smile because you can literally hear that energy. So it does travel through these mediums. Same thing with video. And when you turn on social, there is a transfer of that energy. Whatever mindset, whatever environment, whatever vibe that you're on in that point in time is also what can translate to the people. And there's sometimes where you're translating urgency. There's there's some times where you're translating, hey, take advantage of this sale because it's not going to be here forever. You got maybe 5 hours before we take this portal down, right? That urgency translates to the customer. That's why they feel inclined to act, because you've sent the sense of urgency to them through these mediums. Right. Also, if we're talking about branding, colors do that too, right? Red has more of a sense of urgency. Blue gives more of a sense of trust, right? The purple, more of a sense of regalness and royalty. So there's nuances and levels to this and the psychology behind how a lot of these things work that all can come into play. I mean, we can get in the weeds with this. Like there are people who study this, and and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface on it, because I mean, there's so much that goes into play with all those things that we do. Yes. Be the content. I love that. Be the content. Chef's kiss.
Exactly. So and that's what I think is important for everybody, because again, you're telling us some pretty high level stuff, right? But making it really easy. And that's what I like about the fact that you're like, hey, do this, this, and this. But again, one of the big things you said was start with doing. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's what a lot of us don't do. Right? We sit down and we're going to study and we're going to study and we're going to read and we're going to get ourselves ready for it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times what I find in sales organizations is we're so busy being ready for an opportunity that we don't bother to enhance our skill set. Yeah. And we don't bother to say, okay, what if this happened? What if this happened? What if this happened? Right? I'd love the idea when you said to stack it on top of it, when you said doing sales calls, because again, if you have a ritual before sales calls, how hard is it to put your phone down, right? Record that video, find some music, upload it, and put it out there, because there's a lot. So there's a guy named Derek Williams who was on Instagram. We connected out of the love of sales together. Yeah. And so we were talking one weekend, and he FaceTimed me, and we were going back and forth, and both of us had a headset on. Right? Because we were both in the office. And so as we're sitting there with the headset, I'm like, hey, bro, you ready to do some curls? The sales curls. Mm-hmm. Like, what? And I grabbed the little headset and I raised the microphone up and down, up and down. He's on the other side doing it. And we were laughing. But to me, that's something that could be great content, because he posted it. Got a bunch of people laughing, saying, do your curls to warm up before you get on those sales calls.
Yeah.
And I look and say, man, that's just something so simple, right? It was something shared between two people that everybody got to see, because when you're laughing through it, like you just smiled and was like, yeah, that genuine smile and the connection that was just made going, yeah, I know that feeling. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what we're trying to capture on social media and our videos and your Modern Man podcast, right? So you want to catch that actual genuineness that is uniquely you, and put it on there. So, no, dude, that's great.
What you just touched on, man, is I'm getting a little feedback. Is that me? I think I'm good. What you just touched on, which was so great, which is important for people to kind of take home with their content, is however niched or nuanced you might think your day-to-day might be, there's millions of people that can relate. Like, just the simple thing is the headset with the sales calls. Salespeople know. And if you're making content for salespeople, if you're about to sit down for sales calls, if you have your script, or if you're going to do some role playing or whatnot, your audience, if that's who you're talking to, they have the same challenges, they have the same nuances, they have the same quirks in their day to day as you do. So by sharing that transparency is literally going to be building that connection with your audience, because they're going to be having those same challenges. They're going to have the same jokes. How many times you see a meme, or you'll see these meme pages, which do a really great job of finding a niche. Me being in local news, for example, we have AM newsers, right? There's a whole bunch of like AM newsers, because we wake up, my alarm goes off at 2:20 in the morning every day. It's ungodly hours, right? And we have memes where someone's like, how'd you sleep? And it's like a picture, and it's like the eyes are taped open. It's like, great, I got 5 hours. And like, sure, that might sound whatever to some people, but like to the AM users, we get it, And, right. And it's an inside joke that everybody in your niche will understand. right?
Right.
It's your personal experience, but a lot of people are having that same experience in your business, in your industry, in your niche. And when you share that with them, that's building community. That's also building your brand,
Right.
because a lot of people stand by the brand that they resonate with. And they're going to be like, you know what, this person gets me. Because this person gets me, you get them.
No, phenomenal. So I know we're creeping up on 5 minutes in our half an hour show,
Mhm.
but okay. So I'm going to come back over here and look at this. Right, start with doing. One of the quotes I come up with, and I put it out on T-shirts and everything. Right, which is action solves everything.
Yeah.
Right, and again, it may not be the best action, but as you start moving towards something. So if it's a bad situation, go into it. If it's a good situation, go into it. Whenever you look at it and go, okay, great. I don't want to pick up the phone today. Okay, give yourself 5 seconds to grab the phone. Go, you got 5 seconds to grab the phone. Okay, great. It'll feel like an hour as you're
Mhm.
slowly reaching for it, but you want to get into that habit of going forward. And you start with doing. And I think that's fantastic, right? One thing you said that I wrote down, because I'm going to steal it too, right, is your brand is the fulfillment of the promise.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom. I sat there, I was like, you're so right. That's what your brand is. Did you deliver on what you said would be?
Mhm.
So
It's your
there goes.
reputation. It's the people who are following you, what they expect from you, right? If someone's like, "Hey, go to the Modern Man," they're a group of guys really trying to elevate themselves, connecting men in pursuit of their potential. And if someone were to listen to the podcast or join, and we're just sitting around talking sports and just drinking booze, they're gonna be like, "This isn't what I expected. I'm not
Right,
fulfilling that promise of the brand."
right,
So there is the truth in that, and that's what I think is what people will stand by, because I think we live in a world, especially with TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts now, where you have 15 to May, if you're lucky, 15 seconds, right, to capture them, and we're in that scroll, and the thing is, the BS meter is so high, Joe. The BS meter is so high. If they're not buying what you're saying, if they're not buying what you're doing, like next, 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 the only thing that's going to keep them for that 15 seconds and more, or the only thing that's going to keep them past that 5 seconds before skipping that video to watch the YouTube video that they're trying to watch anyway, is
right,
the connection, the authenticity, and the promise, right? The fulfillment on the promise. They're gonna identify right away. Is this worth my time? Is this worth my short attention span? And
right.
if you're not fulfilling on that promise, I think the BS meter is going to go off right away. And they're like, nah, next, which is why authenticity, uh, if you sound like everybody else, you're going to get scrolled through by like everyone else.
Right.
It's usually we talk about like that disruptive marketing, right? Oh, I never saw that before. Let me watch a little bit more. Or, oh, there's some anticipation building in the first 5 seconds of this video. I'll give them another 4 or 5 seconds to fulfill on that. And that's the other half. If you build that anticipation and it's anticlimactic, you lost them there too. So you only
Right.
get one shot at a first impression.
It's true. And digitally, again, your first impression, you haven't even reached your hand out yet. If it was face to face and they've already walked away from you,
Yeah.
it's like whoosh. Yeah, nope, that's not it. Again, and some people will just judge you by your face before you even started talking, right? It's there. And one of the things you were saying, all you're doing is looking for the people that will resonate with you,
Mm-hmm.
which is like what you said, which is that meme may not work to somebody who sleeps until 10 every day, right? And then you go put that one up there, it goes, I got 5 hours and I'm totally taped up, kind of deal. That means something to those, right? Like
Yeah.
one of my dear friends that has passed, he was a bodybuilder. And so to him, he was at the gym at 3 a.m. every morning. And so I call him at 9 o'clock at night and wake him up. And I was like, and we used to joke because I go to bed around 2 and he gets up around 2. And I'm like, dude, I text him in the morning, hey, good morning, I'm going to bed. Right. He'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, just got out of the shower. Have a great day, kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, we're just definitely on the different clock kind of deal.
Absolutely.
So my brother brought up this point too. So he's in real estate. He's a big real estate guy. So habit stacking to create consistency and creating the triggers like the music
Mm-hmm.
that unleash a specific mindset is such high level thinking, right?
Yeah.
And you dropped it like it was nothing, right? And then he agreed with me because I'm always right that the brand quote was definitely the big boom. That
I
was
like it.
so
Yeah. Well, with that habit stacking too, like so for example, deep work. I read that book Deep Work and it was great. And what I do now is I block off maybe 2 hours of time and I'll do Pomodoro technique, which is I'll do 45 minutes of focus, 15 minutes, take a break. 45 minutes of focus, 15 minutes, take a break. And what I'll do is I actually have a diffuser next to my computer, which I'll put peppermint, lemongrass, put a strong, vibrant scent in. And then I'll play lo-fi music, which would also get my brain waves in the theta waves, more of a
it.
almost a not a hallucin, like influential brain waves, kind of like how hypnotists try and do.
Yep.
And then I'll use that to be the trigger that puts me in that flow state. And that's what I do because I'll have the scent, I'll have the senses working with me, the scent and the sound and the work environment at my desk, and I'm good for 2 hours. I'm on it, right? And the thing there is like if you think about a song you hear from the early 2000s and someone's like, oh, where were you when this song was popping, right? You probably remember being in the car, things like that. Or if you think about how like the scent of something, like if someone like grew up in their childhood, like I had a friend who was really sensitive to the smell of peanut butter because as a kid, all they had was peanut butter sandwiches. But so that smell automatically takes them there. There are neurological triggers to the sense and the senses. And when you build a program for yourself and for your body for these certain situations, you're likely to get better into a flow state for crushing those sale calls, crushing that work, crushing that deep work of I need to get X amount done in 2 hours. That's for me what has been able to help set me up with the most productivity when I really had to get some work done.
That's brilliant. So Desmond had typed over too. What's your intraday rituals? What are you doing? And then before I put it up there, you started going. So he already answered back with never mind.
My bad.
He didn't even need that trigger, Des. He's like, I got this. This is what they're gonna ask next. Yeah, that goes through. But again, I think that's where you look at and say, are you putting up the stuff that you know can trigger you? Right, instead of waiting to be triggered in this world, right? Or all we think of is the meme of that girl, the short hair girl going right when you say triggered, but you're triggering yourself for a positive outcome to get what you do. And again, what was that song? What was this? And it's so many things that you can look at. One thing to think about, if you go, you know what, I don't know if that works, I'd say, why don't you check all the ringtones that you have for people? And what happens when the phone rings with that ringtone, right? Didn't you just assign it to a certain person, and say, okay, so like when my youngest calls, it's right, it's DJ Khaled, and all I do is win. So anytime I hear that, who do I think of? My little one. But I had to listen to him sing it so much, right, in the car. I was like, oh yeah. So every time that song comes on, I think of him. So if that's the same case, right, go think what song comes on that makes you think of money, thinks getting back to what's there. So Lynn says hello, and Lynn also understands that when you hear I'm bringing sexy back, that's me.
I love it. Nice, Lynn.
In my house it never left, but for all the rest of the people that lost it, I brought it back. But so but no, and okay, I'm going to go back on something else, right? So you develop the routines, which becomes your baseline, which means you develop the consistency based off of what you're doing. So to be clear, right, Ted did not say record yourself brushing your teeth every day. That's not what he said. And then try and talk while you're brushing. That's not what he's saying. He's saying go find a habit that you already have and stack the next one on. And if you're stacking it with content, that will be the most valuable and the easiest way for you to stay consistent on social media and go through. And one of the big things you said that triggered me as well was the BS meter, right? It is up there. The BS meter is up there. So if that BS meter is up there, what does that mean? It means you got to come across as the real person. Because I think the worst thing would be is to get famous or known for not being you. And now the congruence is going to be what that BS meter is going to flag every person who thought you were like them. right? And pull it together and go, oh, I'm watching you now, and you just said this, it contradicted what you meant with this and that, right? It goes on.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think that's phenomenal.
You can only white knuckle that for so long. You can only put on a persona for so long, and sooner or later the act is going to get exposed, right? So why not start authentically? Especially for folks like for example, myself with Modern Man and whatnot. My face is the brand. So if I'm not operating with authenticity, if I'm looking to scale this business, scale the show as it grows, imagine that weight you have to carry. For anyone that might be familiar, I don't know if you know Liver King.
Yes.
Making a lot of headlines right now.
Yep.
So making a lot of headlines because of going, I'm not using steroids. I'm not using steroids. Well, it leaks. He was using steroids. So that inauthenticity right away makes him lose credibility because it's such a heavy weight to bear. And one of the things he said, when I was rich and anonymous, it wasn't a problem. Now that I'm rich and known, you have to rewire some things. If he started with the authenticity, he would not have that problem right now.
Absolutely. No, that's true. And it's funny because Des, who you answered his question before I got to post it, but we actually talked about Liver King and the whole thing before everything came out. We're like, is this really that he has no steroids but looks so ripped compared to everybody else, right? And so my brother, he ate so much liver for no reason.
The lies.
Exactly. It's the I'm the health coach, but yet I got plastic surgery to get the body that I'm going to tell you want a body like mine. Well, I know it costs 10, 12 grand at a plastic surgeon. Yeah. Right. But you didn't actually try to go out and earn it, which is different. But so perfect. I don't want to take up any more of your day. I know the war gamers are out there going, no, let him keep talking. But I did promise you 30 minutes. We're already at 36. So that's even better. We started a couple minutes behind. So we're dead on there. So right here, Des still out there. Oh, no, Tom Bosick says credibility, authenticity is scalability. There Absolutely. You go.
Yes,
so,
sir.
That was a great summary that now Ted could say is his quote.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's right. You got that from me. That's what I said.
Write that down right now.
Right now. Credibility, authenticity equals scalability.
I like it.
That was a great recap, Tom, on that one. So I appreciate you for that. So, Ted, I do want to say thank you. Brian came back as his self again. There he is. He's no longer transporting children. So that
doesn't sound safe when you say that, Joe.
not illegally transported. Yes.
Legally
transporting his child. So, but no, that's fantastic. So, and then again, Brian's a phenomenal individual. Ted, I'll connect the two of you as well. Brian does face analysis. I almost said face reading, and he was going to go, "Shut up! I'm not at the circus." Okay. So it's Frank's grateful, but so he looks at people's faces and knows how to proactively address them. And so that he could talk to you into the way that you need to be talked to. It's phenomenal what he does. But like he'll teach you that if you notice, I have no eyebrows. They're there. I'm not lying. They're there, but they're invisible. And so that's the chameleon eyebrow. Did I get it right, Brian? Yes. So the chameleon eyebrow means because I don't have visible eyebrows, then your brain doesn't say Joe and I are opposite. Because mine didn't match yours, right? So when the girls go put that Sharpie on with the big McDonald's M's, right? You look at it. Why do we look at those memes and go, what is that? Right? It's you look at that. Mine doesn't do that to you, right? It says, okay, great. I don't have to say we're different, right?
Nice.
Now. So Brian, you can talk if you want to, because you know this better.
That's exactly right. It's a consensus builder feature.
That's fascinating. Yes. I want to learn more on that.
That's what I'm saying. I connected to. Next thing you know, Brian, you'll be on the Modern Man podcast going, hey, how do we make sure you are authentic? So, but
don't believe me. Just assume that it's full of BS and go out and try it. It'll change your life.
Nice. Yes. I like that.
No, it is. He's got that. He can tell by the shape of your eyebrows what you think about, right? He'll know what your favorite number is. No, I'm just kidding with that one. But yeah. No, but he'll know if you're more of a quick decision maker, if you worry about the people around you, my favorite one is Brian's little bent one over there on his right eye that says, what's the angle? Right.
Yep.
You always got to explain to him what the angle is that you're going for. So it's brilliant.
Help me understand it first, then I can help other people. Exactly.
Yes.
I like it.
So perfect. So everybody, thank you so much. Brian, thanks for jumping in. Ted, thank you for everything you shared with us. And I know everybody's out there grateful for the fact that so Lynn got part of it, but she's ready to already look at the replay.
Lynn,
So
thank you.
And then Ted, I will send you copies as well, so you have it. You can cut it up, make it social media if you want. So, but thanks everybody for coming out here. No, stop it. But wait, tell me more. Yes, we're not doing it, Tom. So, thanks so much again, everybody. As typically, what am I going to tell you? Go out and sell something. Thanks, everybody.